The following is a summary of Augustine's The City of God, Book 1, Argument 19 and 20. So Argument 19 is of Lucretia, who put an end to her life because of the outrage done to her. And Argument 20 is that Christians have no authority for committing suicide in any circumstance whatsoever. So, to begin with, Lucretia, purity or pride, as cited in Virgil's Aeneid, chapter 6, verse 434.
Who sent themselves to Rome, and all for loathing of the day, in madness threw their lives away.
It was common for the violated to feel guilty. Augustine gives the example of the ancient Roman matron Lucretia, who was violated by King Tarquin's son. She made the violation known to kinsman Brutus and her own husband Calantinus, who vowed to avenge her of this crime. Despite this, she still took her own life. The question to ask was, why did she slay herself if she was not guilty? She was chaste and innocent, yet she was the one who was killed by herself. She is, of course, not guilty of the violation, but guilty of an even worse crime, to murder thyself for the crime of another's sins. Even though the sins of the other should not implicate oneself, to go and, kill thyself. Can she really have slew herself out of a guilty conscience? Was there some victim blaming at play for herself? Did she feel good during the violent violation, and had that led to guilt or remorse? Was she innocent or complicit in the act? We would never know the answer to these questions, but what is certain is that suicide should never be an option despite these happenstances. Killing herself must have implied that she had a burden of shame operating in her psyche, as opposed to a love of purity. She could not patiently endure in this life because of her deep shame, which was tied in with her pride with the glory of Rome in her veins. This shame which disgraced her perceived pride, thus led to her death. Therefore, Augustine challenges the pagans' reverence of Lucretia's purity, stating that it operated out of shame and pride. And we know from Genesis that pride leads to the fall, sin, and death. As for the Christian, they know to endure all things to the end, and not to operate on the basis of pride, but on purity of the soul, matters of the conscience, chastity of the heart, and a love of all things that are good, beautiful, and true, to love God in spite of broken humanity and a fallen creation. For that is the divine law and the greatest commandment, to love God and to love others. And I guess the main takeaway is to not be consumed by pride, but to be obedient to what God has predestined, and eventually we shall seek the reward that He provides us in the end. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.